Now everybody, and welcome back to the channel where we are continuing with our Lada Niva bobtail. We're just waiting for the welder to arrive that we're getting. So for now, what we're going to do is we're going to focus on filling in this hole. Now, somebody on one of the posts I posted on YouTube said they'd like to see me fit sliding windows, but it's a bit late because I bobtailed it, and now the sliding windows you can get won't fit. And I responded with, well, only one window is being fitted back in anyway, which is very true. The only window that's going back in is the back right window, and that will be getting swapped out for some polycarbonate, not glass. And this side is actually going to be turned into a metal panel. And the reason is many years ago, I purchased this dinky little 5-litre jerry can for the white Niva and never fitted it. Whereas now, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to make it so that it sits in a panel here, something like that, which I think will be pretty cool, to be honest. And then we're going to have a little toolbox right here as well, little opening up toolbox for storing, the most used tools, basically. So we're going to make a custom panel to go in there, and you're going to see me doing bead rolling, shrinking and stretching, and all sorts of jenny working to make this panel, and then we're going to weld it all together, and hopefully it'll work like a charm. So let's get on with it. So first thing we've got to do is we've got to measure our overall height of our window opening, ignoring our seal flange. We're going to go from body panel to body panel, ignoring the seal flange. So our overall height is 395. I'm actually going to go with 390 because that actually tapers out the panel. So if we actually go to the corner of our seal flanges, it's 390. And then we're going inside because I am not spending any more time out in this weather. All right, so we're now in the dining room, and there's kids in the house, so we might end up with all sorts of noise and whatnot being made, but we'll have to live with it. So while we were outside, we measured our window opening, and we came to a conclusion it was 390. So now we're going to measure our glass, which is 370 across full length, right until the end when it goes down to 365 before it bends down. So just about here, it starts to dramatically drop. So we know that it's 370. So our window opening was 390. So we deduct the 370, that gives us 20, which is 10 millimeters on each side. So we take our glass away. We get our sheet of card. Write that there just for reference so we remember it. And then we're going to set our combination square to 10, because it's 10 millimeters on either side of our glass. Well, 10 millimeters around the perimeter of our glass. So we're just going to use our combination square to mark 10 millimeters on two sides of our cardboard sheet. Now you could use, I've just got this lying around, but you could use old pizza boxes, which is what I normally use, and then I end up taping them together and stapling them together and all sorts. But they do the job, and that's the thing that counts. And they're free. Then we get our meter ruler. Just line them up. Now we're doing this in assuming that our glass is square. Our corner might not actually be square, but it'll give us a good idea. We can get our glass afterwards and lie it on top. Alright, so we're going to get our glass. Engineer square. Get combination square. Press that on there like that, just to give me an idea of when I bottom out onto our line. So I'll put the combination square onto the edge of the line. and then slide the glass up to it. That makes life a lot easier. So that's worked perfectly. So we've got 10mm, 10mm, and then 10mm full length. It's following our line. Spot on. Lovely. So then we get our ruler. And we measure 10mm from the edge of our glass. Just like so. And then we go down here. 10mm again. Then we're going to go right to the end here and measure 10mm again. We're going to get our straight edge again. And one of these isn't going to line up. Just put that on there like that. See the way it tapers down here? So what we're going to do is we're actually going to mark along here, find out where it starts tapering down. Just by sliding our ruler along. And as soon as it goes off 10, we know that's where it starts tapering. So it's actually here. Just started going to 11 at this point. So what I'm going to do, get my straight edge, put it on our 10mm mark there, and where it starts tapering mark, just mark that there. So when we cut this, this will actually be a bit of a sharp edge here, but what we can do is just get the flat disc and blend it in. And by the time we've got it all spot welded into the car and everything like that, it'll look fine. Nobody will ever be able to tell. Okay, and then since we've bobtailed this, our window is 150mm shorter. I'll set my combination square to 150. I'm just going to get a bit of masking tape. Put my tape down. And then bring it down, my combination square down here. And then that just makes it so that we can mark our 150. Take our glass off. And move it down. So that our marks, our 150 marks on our glass line up with our 10mm mark on the edge of our card. There we go. Now we can see it's not long enough. So I've got another bit of card here. I'll tell you what, we'll save that bit of card and we'll actually cut along here. Cut some off this corner here. Take our glass off and just tape it on. Right, so I've actually made a mistake, and what I did is I actually marked this where it slopes down before I moved my glass 150mm forward. So all I'm going to do is I'm actually just going to take our mark that we made for where it starts to slope down, and I'm going to move it 150mm forward, which is there. And then I'm going to mark 10mm out. So to there, from the edge of our glass, and then take our straight edge and remark that. So we've got a 10mm border around 3 edges of our glass now. So now we've got to do this one, and this one actually has a bit of a slope to it. So we can't really do this because it's a continuous radius, not necessarily a radius because it is in stages, but because it's a continuous bend, shall we say, we can't really do it with a ruler because there'll be a really thin point along one end, along maybe in the middle of it. So what we've got to do instead is you could use a compass, which I can't because my compass is a dead fancy Maped or whatever it's called compass. and you could set it to 10 millimeters and then draw around like that. But because mine's got like this fancy rounded edge on it, it's a bit of a pain. I can't do that. So instead, I have to use a pair of dividers, which is a metal worker's compass, essentially. And we're going to set that to 10 millimeters. This is Starrett dividers, so this is just at the time I had too much money when I bought these. And then we literally scratch a mark into our card, keeping our dividers adjacent to our glass. I highlight that pencil, that line, just with a pencil. Lovely. I've got a cat on the table next to me, spectating what I'm doing. Just going to slide this back this way so that we can mark our radiuses on our other end. Get our dividers again. Now in an ideal world we'd have dogleg dividers, which would be a lot better for this task, but we don't have any, so. I'm actually going to get my pencil as well and mark our glass size, which will come in handy later. Tip top. Lovely. There we go. Now we're going to cut that out with a pair of scissors. I won't video it, me cutting that out, because it's not exactly exciting stuff. So we've got it cut out, and I took it outside, test fitted it, and it fits like a glove. So happy days. So now what we've got to do is we've got to get our jerry can and sit it somewhere near where we want it to be on the panel. And I kind of like it there, to be honest. And then I'm going to take my combination square and set it to 0 just by putting it on the table like this and pushing down on it and tightening it up. And I am actually going to try and get this so you guys can see it. I'm going to put my pencil in this corner here. So not on the edge of the ruler, but actually on, we'll call this the anvil, on the anvil there. Yeah, because if we measure that, that is, yeah, 5 millimeters, which will give us a nice clearance because we're going to actually put some rubber bumpers inside our panel so that this doesn't rattle and do our heads in. Okay, so I'm going to get my square, making sure this is flat, and I'm going to gradually work my way around with the pencil, and that'll mark the outline that we need to cut. So I've just put the funky tape measure I've got on there, just apply a bit of weight, and now it's time just to work our way around. Right, so we've got some very rough lines. It was moving around like a gun, and it was kind of doing my head in, to be honest. But we've got some rough lines. We're going to neaten these up literally just with a ruler, alright? Nothing fancy. And we're just going to square all this off so that we can actually shape it relatively easily when we come to metal forming. Right, then what we've got to do is we've got to cut this out. Now we're going to cut it in a manner that we can use the inside and the outside for templates because that makes our life so much easier. And then we're going to tank our edges, what's called tanking. You can also call it rolling, so that it looks like a pressed panel. So rather than a square edge, it's going to be rolled around. That's my plan anyway. I haven't really got the tools I'd like to do that, but I have got the tools to be able to do it, just not as nicely. I don't think it will come out as nice as if I had the tools that I want, and I will be getting this year, definitely. So I've got my knife, which is new sharp blade on it. It's a little bit rusty, but it'll do. And I've got our lass's chopping board. So shh, don't tell her I'm using that. First of all, I'm actually going to do my rounded corners, just freehand. And do my straight cuts. Lovely. Take this away, hide the evidence. Now, in theory, if we've done this correctly, what we should be able to do is get our jerry can, sit it on there, and it should, like a glove, should just slide over. Tip top. Oh, happy days. And then that is our male counterpart, which will be sunk back to allow our jerry can to sit inside it. Right, so I've just been out to the car and figured out how big my little toolbox can be. Because I'm putting a cage in and I'm actually making it, because me and my dad are tall, we have to have as much room behind us as we can. So I'm actually putting the main hoop further back than I did in the white one. I'm going to build it into that panel that's behind the driver's seat. So I measured that and it gets to 70 millimeters, but then I'm going to add half of my material thickness for the tube side I'm using. So I'm going to make the main hoop out of 2-inch, which is about 50 millimeters. So I add 25 mil to that, which comes to 95. So I might actually look at stamping something in here so it fills that gap in. We're going to have a bit of an overlap for our door anyway, probably maybe 10-15 millimeters overlap. And then from our jerry can, I'm going to measure 2 inches because I think 2 inch would be a nice measurement. In fact, I might measure from this side so it's parallel. If I measure from this line, it'll be parallel. So, and then we're going to go 10, 20, 30, 40. We'll go with 40. So that gives us a pocket of 195 wide. And we'll measure 30 millimeters down. And then we're going to use a framing square just to mark that across. And we're just going to come up with a random radius for our corners. Let's go with 30 for our radius, to be honest. So if I measure 30 in, 30 down. So that's it for this video, I'm afraid. Not the most exciting video in the world. It's just marking out, but it is something that, you know, metal workers do every day, is all this marking out and template making. So I hope you did learn something out of watching this, like using the combination square just to act as a guide while we're marking out for the jerry can. And then the next process is to transfer our template onto sheet metal and then start forming the panel, reinforcing it, putting some pressings in it and stuff like that. And then we'll also start forming the hollow that the jerry can and the toolbox will become.
So if you did enjoy this video, I know it was very boring, but you know, it's part of the process. Please like, share, comment, and subscribe if you haven't done already. It is much appreciated. Until the next time, cheers for now.